Imagine discovering on your sister's wedding day that your own mother stole $80,000 from your business to fund the lavish event. Your life's work gone for flowers and ice sculptures. Levan faced this nightmare head-on. If this betrayal infuriates you, subscribe because we've got more shocking family revelations that demand justice. What twist awaits?
Thanks for having me, Eliza. I'm still fired up about how that day turned my rage into real power. Let's get into the raw truth of what happened and how I fought back. The eviction notice is still fluttering in the morning breeze when I realize my sister's wedding day has become the day my mother destroyed my life. 6 a.m. on what should have been the happiest morning of our family's year, and I'm standing outside Gelashvili Metalworks watching two sheriff's deputies tape a 72-hour notice to the door of the business my father built with his bare hands. The business I've poured 8 years of my life into. The business that, according to my bank account, no longer exists. My phone screen shows zeros where there should be numbers. $80,000, gone. Every penny I've saved, every contract payment, every late night and weekend job vanished like it never existed. The withdrawal history reads like a wedding planner's invoice. Whitfield Estate Venue, $15,000. Prestige Catering Services, $12,000. European Floral Designs, $8,500. My hands shake as I scroll through transaction after transaction, each one a knife twist. My mother's signature authorizes every theft. The partnership papers I signed 5 years ago, the ones that gave her access to honor Dad's memory, turned into her weapon against me. "Sir, you need to step back from the building," one deputy says, not unkindly. He probably thinks I'm just another small business owner who couldn't make rent. He has no idea he's watching a son discover his mother chose flowers over his future. Inside the shop, everything looks exactly the same and completely different. Dad's welding torch still hangs on its hook beside the main workstation. His anvil still bears the dents from 40 years of honest work. The smell of metal shavings and machine oil fills my nostrils like it has every morning for 8 years. But the safe is open, empty. The partnership documents are gone. The patent paperwork, the breakthrough welding technique that 3 major manufacturers want to license, missing. Even Dad's original business registration, the one he was so proud of, has vanished from the fireproof box where I've kept it safe since his funeral. I sink into the chair behind his old desk, running my fingers along the scarred wood surface. 5 years ago, when grief was still fresh and Mom cried every time she saw his empty workshop, I thought adding her name to the business accounts was honoring his memory. "Your father would want us to be partners," she'd said, tears streaming down her face. "He always said family comes first." Family comes first. The bitter irony tastes like copper in my mouth. My phone buzzes, a text from my sister Nino. "Can't wait for you to see everything today. Mom says you insisted on the ice sculpture. You're the best brother ever." The ice sculpture? $1,500 of my money, carved into swans for a wedding I'm no longer sure I can afford to attend. Not because of the gift I haven't bought, but because I'm not sure I can look at my mother without my rage spilling over onto Nino's perfect day. My lawyer calls as I'm locking up the shop that might not be mine much longer. "Levan, we need to talk. I've been reviewing the documents your mother filed yesterday." David's voice carries that careful tone lawyers use when they're about to destroy your world with facts. "She's been negotiating with the Whitfield family's attorneys about including your patent in some kind of expanded business partnership." I pull over, my truck idling in the parking lot of the diner where Dad used to take me for pancakes after particularly hard jobs. What kind of partnership? The kind where they provide capital investment in exchange for controlling interest in all intellectual property developed under the family business umbrella. Papers rustle on his end. "Levan, if this goes through, your welding technique becomes their welding technique. The licensing deals we've been negotiating, they'd own those contracts." The world tilts. "She can't do that. The patent is in my name only." But the research and development happened in a business where she's listed as partner. Their lawyers are arguing that makes it community property under the partnership agreement. His sigh carries 8 years of friendship. "She's been building this case for months. The timing isn't coincidental. Once Nino marries into their family, they'll have emotional leverage to pressure you into signing." I stare at the diner's neon sign, remembering Dad's calloused hands cutting his pancakes, syrup dripping onto the formica table. How much is the patent worth? Conservative estimate, $2.3 million over the next 5 years, possibly more if the aerospace contracts come through. $2.3 million. My mother is trading my entire future for the privilege of calling the Whitfield's family. She's destroying the very fortune she's trying to secure, all for the illusion of belonging to their world. The Whitfield estate rises from manicured grounds like something from a movie set, all stone columns and perfectly trimmed hedges. Valets in white jackets direct cars down a circular drive lined with roses that probably cost more per stem than most people spend on groceries. I park my dented pickup between a Mercedes and a BMW, feeling like an imposter in my only good suit, the one I bought for Dad's funeral. Through the truck's windshield, I can see the wedding setup in the distance. White chairs arranged in perfect rows, an altar draped in silk that catches the morning light like spun gold. Every detail screams money, the kind of money my family has never had, but apparently the kind my mother was willing to steal to pretend we belong here. A crew of florists arranges centerpieces that tower 3 feet high, each one a masterpiece of white orchids and trailing greenery. $5,000 worth of flowers, according to my bank statement. $5,000 of my sweat and blood, transformed into decorations that will wilt and die before the weekend ends. The ice sculpture, my ice sculpture, paid for with my stolen money, gleams in the morning sun. 2 swans with necks intertwined, their frozen perfection mocking everything real about the love I thought existed in my family. I should leave, drive away from this monument to betrayal and let them have their perfect day built on the ruins of my life. But as I watch workers hanging crystal chandeliers that cost more than most people's cars, something cold and hard settles in my chest. My mother thinks I'm too weak to fight back, too devoted to family harmony to make a scene, too stupid to realize what she's done until it's too late. She's about to learn exactly how wrong she is. Every rose, every ribbon, every crystal glass represents a choice she made. She chose Nino's wedding over my future. She chose the Whitfield's approval over my trust. She chose to destroy me rather than ask for help. I step out of the truck and straighten my tie. If she wants to use my money to throw a party, the least I can do is attend. After all, I paid for it. Whitfield Estate's opulence hits me like a physical blow. Walking through the main entrance, I'm surrounded by $80,000 of my stolen money transformed into their perfect fairy tale. Crystal chandeliers cast rainbow prisms across marble floors. The $15,000 ice sculpture dominates the foyer, its frozen swans mocking me with their eternal embrace. White orchids $5,000 worth according to my bank statement, cascade from every surface like expensive tears. I move through the venue like a ghost haunting his own funeral, watching staff make final adjustments to decorations bought with my father's legacy. The altar where Nino will say her vows is draped in silk that costs more than most people's monthly rent. Even the chairs, white chaivari with ivory cushions, represent money I'll never see again. Magnificent, isn't it? A woman in pearls glides past, champagne flute already in hand despite the early hour. The Gelashvilis spared no expense, such a generous family. Generous, I want to laugh, but the sound would come out broken. Every detail screams wealth we've never had, luxury bought with my blood and sweat. The centerpieces tower like monuments to my mother's ambition, each arrangement worth more than I used to make in a week when I was starting out. The dance floor gleams under lights that could have paid my shop's rent for 3 months. This isn't a wedding, it's a museum of my destruction, each exhibit carefully curated to display how thoroughly my mother has gutted my life for the privilege of impressing people who will forget our name by next weekend. I find my mother in the bridal suite, directing a team of photographers like a general commanding troops. She's wearing the navy dress she bought specifically for today, another expense that probably came from my accounts, and her smile is radiant with triumph. Mom, my voice comes out steadier than I feel. We need to talk. She glances at me, then back at the photographers. Not now, Levan, can't you see we're busy? You've ruined me for Nino's wedding. The words hang in the air between us, heavy with months of suppressed rage. She turns fully toward me then, and to my complete shock, she laughs. Actually laughs, a bright sound that cuts through me like broken glass. Don't be dramatic and selfish, this is for Nino's wedding. Her eyes sparkle with amusement, as if I've told the most ridiculous joke. Really, Levan, you're being absurd. The casual dismissal steals my breath. $80,000, you took everything. I invested it in our family's future. She adjusts a flower arrangement without looking at me. The Whitfields are offering us opportunities you could never imagine. Real money, real connections. Your little workshop was always temporary, Levan. This, she gestures at the opulence surrounding us, this is permanent, this is legacy. My little workshop, the words taste like acid. Dad built that business with his hands. Your father would understand, he always put family first. Her smile never wavers. The Whitfields have agreed to include our family business in their investment portfolio. Think bigger, Levan, your patent could be worth millions under their guidance. The trap David warned me about, she's not just stealing my money, she's stealing my future, gift-wrapping it and presenting it to the Whitfields like a dowry. You can't sign away my patent. I'm not signing it away, I'm elevating it. She finally meets my eyes and what I see there chills me. No guilt, no remorse, just cold calculation. Stop thinking like a small-town metalworker and start thinking like a member of a family that matters. Levan, Nino's voice sparkles with joy as she appears in the doorway, a vision in white silk and grandmother's pearls. Her wedding dress fits like it was painted on, every detail perfect from the hand-sewn beadwork to the cathedral train that probably cost more than my truck. My sister glows with happiness, and seeing her like this, radiant, beautiful, completely unaware of the destruction surrounding her perfect day, breaks something inside my chest. Mom said you insisted on paying for the ice sculpture and those gorgeous orchids. She spins, making her dress flare like flower petals. I told her you didn't need to spend so much, but she said you wanted everything perfect for me. The words hit like physical blows. My mother has turned my sister into an unwitting weapon against me, poisoning even Nino's gratitude with lies. They're beautiful, I manage, because what else can I say? That every flower represents my stolen future, that her perfect day is built on the ruins of my life. I'm so lucky to have a brother who puts family first. Nino hugs me and I smell her perfume, probably another expense from my accounts. I know the business has been struggling, but you still made sure my day would be perfect. That's real love. Over her shoulder, I see my mother watching with satisfaction. She's orchestrated this moment perfectly, using Nino's innocence to make me complicit in my own destruction. How can I tell my sister that her perfect wedding is paid for with stolen money? How can I destroy her happiness to save myself? You deserve everything beautiful, I whisper against her hair and mean it completely. But as she pulls away, chattering about the ceremony and reception details, I realize my mother has created the perfect trap. Every move I make to save myself will hurt the sister I love. Every moment I stay silent makes me more complicit in my own destruction. My phone buzzes as Nino disappears back into the bridal suite, and David's name on the screen makes my stomach clench. Lawyers don't call on Saturday mornings unless the world is ending. Levan, where are you? His voice carries an urgency that makes my blood run cold. The wedding venue, what's wrong? Your mother contacted Peterson Industries yesterday, claimed she had authority over all business communications and told them the licensing deal was off the table pending family restructuring. Papers rustle frantically on his end. She's been calling your manufacturing contacts too, claiming the business is undergoing ownership transition. I lean against the marble wall, feeling like I'm drowning. She can't do that. She already has. Peterson's CEO thinks you're backing out to negotiate with the Whitfields instead. Your supplier contracts are frozen pending clarification of business ownership. His voice drops. Levan, she's not just stealing your money, she's stealing your entire future. This isn't about wedding expenses anymore. This is a complete takeover of your life's work. The venue spins around me. Through the windows, I can see guests beginning to arrive, their luxury cars forming a parade of wealth down the circular drive. In a few hours, Nino will walk down an aisle decorated with my stolen money, marrying into a family that's helping my mother destroy everything Dad built. How long do I have? The Whitfield partnership papers are being finalized Monday morning. Once Nino's officially family, their lawyers will argue you're emotionally compromised and can't make business decisions independently. His sigh carries years of friendship. She's been planning this for months, Levan, every step calculated. I close my eyes, seeing Dad's workshop in my mind. His tools, his anvil, his dreams for what our family business could become. All of it being fed into my mother's social climbing machine, ground up to fertilize her desperate need for acceptance. She thinks I'm too stupid to fight back. Are you going to prove her wrong? Through the window, I watch my mother directing staff like she owns the place, her face bright with the satisfaction of a plan perfectly executed. She's destroyed my life and turned my sister into her unwitting accomplice, all for the chance to call herself family to people who see us as useful tools. She's about to learn exactly how wrong she is about me. The wedding begins at 11 a.m. sharp, and I'm sitting alone in my truck at the edge of the parking lot, watching 200 guests celebrate a fairy tale built on my destruction. Through the windshield, I can see the ceremony in perfect detail, Nino radiant in white silk, the Whitfield family beaming with satisfaction, my mother dabbing tears of joy with a handkerchief that probably cost more than my grocery budget. Every flower petal, every ribbon, every crystal glass catches the sunlight like evidence of my stupidity. I trusted her. After Dad died when grief made her fragile and desperate, I actually believed adding her name to the business accounts would honor his memory. Partners, she'd called us, crying over his empty workshop, just like he would have wanted. My phone buzzes, a text from Sarah, my ex-girlfriend. Saw the wedding photos on social media. Your mom really went all out. She always said you were too focused on that shop to see the bigger picture. Maybe this will help you understand what family sacrifice really means. Hope you're finally growing up. The words blur on the screen. Even Sarah, who left me 2 years ago because I worked too many late nights building something real, has bought into my mother's narrative. The woman who used to complain that I cared more about Dad's legacy than her future now thinks I'm selfish for wanting to keep what I built. I stare at the message until the letters stop making sense. Too focused on that shop. Finally growing up. Even my ex-girlfriend thinks I'm the problem. Maybe the whole world is right and I'm just too stupid to see it. The ceremony ends with applause that carries across the manicured grounds. I watch my mother embrace the Whitfield patriarch, her face glowing with the satisfaction of acceptance finally achieved. She's won. She's destroyed my life and convinced everyone, including my own sister, that it was an act of love. My phone rings as the guests move toward cocktail hour, and David's name on the screen makes my already churning stomach drop into free fall. Levan, I need you to sit down. I'm already sitting. My voice sounds hollow even to my own ears. Your mother filed additional paperwork yesterday, emergency business restructuring due to partnership disputes. His lawyer's careful tone can't soften what's coming. She signed transfer documents for all shop equipment to cover outstanding wedding debts. The sheriff will be there Monday morning. The world tilts sideways. What equipment? Everything, the welding stations, the metalworking tools, your father's anvil, all of it. She's claiming the partnership agreement gives her authority to liquidate assets for family emergencies. Papers rustle frantically. Levan, she's taking literally everything. The only thing you'll have left is a contested patent and a workshop full of empty space. I close my eyes, seeing Dad's tools in my mind. The welding torch he taught me to use when I was 12. The anvil that bears dents from 4 decades of honest work. The metalworking equipment I've maintained like sacred relics since his funeral. She can't do that. Those tools, Dad left them to me. She's arguing their partnership assets acquired during the business relationship. Her lawyers claim the wedding expenses constitute a family emergency that justifies asset liquidation. His sigh carries years of friendship and professional frustration. I'm filing an injunction, but it won't be heard until Tuesday. By then, it'll be too late. She'll have fed Dad's legacy into her social climbing machine, grinding up 40 years of craftsmanship to pay for one perfect day of pretending we belong in the Whitfield's world. Through the windshield, I watch her glide between cocktail tables, introducing herself to guests with the confidence of someone who's never doubted her place in the world. She's wearing Dad's wedding ring on a chain around her neck, the same ring she's now claiming gives her the right to sell his tools. There's more, David continues, his voice dropping. I intercepted a message she left for the equipment auction house. She told them, and I quote, "Your father's tools will do more good paying for Nino's happiness than gathering dust in your little shop." Cocktail hour unfolds like a performance I'm watching through glass. From my truck, I can see my mother working the crowd with practiced charm, introducing herself as Nino's mother, the family business partner. She's positioned herself near the Whitfield patriarch, basking in reflected wealth like a plant reaching for sunlight. The guests, doctors, lawyers, investment bankers, nod politely as she speaks, their champagne flutes catching the afternoon light. They have no idea they're watching a woman celebrate the systematic destruction of her son's life. To them, she's just another proud mother who spared no expense for her daughter's happiness. My phone buzzes again, another text from someone at the wedding. Your mom is telling everyone about your generous contribution to the wedding fund. She says you insisted on covering the major expenses because family comes first. What a sweet brother. The cruel irony burns like acid. She's turned my financial destruction into evidence of my devotion, using my stolen money to build a narrative where I'm the generous brother who sacrificed everything for love. Every guest who compliments my sacrifice drives the knife deeper. I watch her laugh at something the Whitfield matriarch says, her hand resting possessively on the older woman's arm. She's not just stealing my money, she's stealing my identity, rewriting the story of my destruction to make herself the hero who guided her son toward proper family values. Then I see her pull out her phone, showing something to the gathered women. Even from this distance, I can see their shocked expressions, their hands flying to their mouths in sympathetic horror. She's showing them the text Sarah sent, the one calling me too stupid to understand family sacrifice. She thinks I'm too stupid to notice what she's doing. Standing there in her stolen finery, surrounded by people who'll forget our name by Monday, she actually believes she's outsmarted me so completely that I'll never fight back. The rage that's been building for months crystallizes into something cold and sharp. She's right about one thing: I have been too stupid, too trusting, too devoted to family harmony, too willing to believe her tears were real. But that stupidity ends now. Time to show her exactly how smart I can be. I straighten my tie and walk toward the cocktail reception with purpose I haven't felt in months. The grief and rage are still there, burning in my chest like forged fire, but now they're fuel instead of poison. My mother thinks she's destroyed me. She's about to learn she's only made me dangerous. Margaret Peterson, CEO of Peterson Industries, stands near the bar nursing what looks like her first drink of the day. She's exactly as David described, mid-50s, silver hair, the kind of controlled presence that commands rooms without effort. More importantly, she's the woman my mother told to cancel our licensing deal. Ms. Peterson, I approach with the confidence of someone who has nothing left to lose. Levan Gelashvili, I believe you've been dealing with some confusion about our patent licensing arrangement. Her eyebrows rise slightly. Mr. Gelashvili, your mother indicated the family business was restructuring. She seemed quite certain the deal was off the table. My mother was mistaken about her authority. I pull out my phone, showing her the patent documentation David sent yesterday. The intellectual property rights belong to me exclusively. The family business partnership she referenced has no claim to innovations developed independently. Peterson's eyes sharpen as she scans the documents. 20 years of corporate negotiations have taught her to recognize opportunity when it walks up to her at a wedding reception. Interesting, your mother suggested you were too emotionally invested in the family business to make rational decisions. She takes a sip of her drink, studying me carefully. She painted a picture of a young man who needed guidance in business matters. The casual cruelty of it steals my breath for a moment. Even to strangers, my mother portrays me as incompetent, someone who needs her wisdom to function in the adult world. Ms. Peterson, what if I told you that deal could be back on the table tonight exclusively? I meet her gaze steadily. No family complications, no partnership disputes, just a straightforward licensing agreement between your company and the patent holder. Her smile is sharp as a blade. I'd say that sounds like exactly the kind of arrangement Peterson Industries prefers. Clean, simple, profitable. She hands me her card. Call me Monday morning. I think we have a great deal to discuss. The event coordinator approaches as I'm walking back from the bar, her smile professional but strained. She's young, probably new to handling high-end weddings, and clearly uncomfortable with whatever conversation she's been instructed to have. Mr. Gelashvili, I'm sorry to bother you, but I wanted to give you a heads up. She glances around nervously. Your mother mentioned there might be some family tension today and asked us to keep an eye on you around the AV equipment during the toasts. You know how family dynamics can get complicated at weddings. I feel my expression carefully neutral, though inside I'm amazed by my mother's thoroughness. She's not just stealing my money and destroying my business, she's preemptively sabotaging any attempt I might make to fight back. She's worried I might cause a scene, I ask, injecting just the right amount of hurt confusion into my voice. Nothing like that, just, you know how emotions can run high on big days like this. She mentioned you've been under a lot of stress with business issues and she wants to make sure everything stays peaceful for your sister. The coordinator's relief at my reasonable tone is visible. We're not banning you from anything, just keeping aware of the family dynamics, you understand. Of course, family drama, nobody wants that at a wedding. I smile sadly, playing the part of the troubled brother who's trying to hold it together for his sister's sake. I appreciate you being discreet about it. She nods, clearly relieved that I'm taking it well. The toasts start right after dessert is served, around 1:45, just so you know the timeline. As she walks away, I realize my mother's paranoia has actually helped me. By warning the staff to watch me, she's made them expect erratic behavior from the struggling brother. When I approach the AV equipment later, they'll see exactly what she's primed them to see: family drama that needs managing, not a calculated plan for justice. She thinks she's checkmated me. She's actually given me the perfect cover for what comes next. The reception dinner begins at 1 p.m. sharp, and I use the controlled chaos of service to make my move. The AV technician, Jake, according to his name tag, is troubleshooting feedback issues with the sound system, his face tight with the stress of technical problems at a high-profile event. Need a hand? I approach with the easy confidence of someone who's spent years fixing things that break at the worst possible moments. He looks up gratefully. The wireless mic is picking up interference from somewhere. It's going to sound like garbage during the toasts if I can't isolate the source. I study the setup with genuine interest. Years of maintaining metalworking equipment have taught me to diagnose problems quickly, and this one's simple enough. Check the frequency overlap with the catering staff's headsets. They're probably on the same channel. 5 minutes later, the feedback is gone, and Jake is looking at me like I've performed magic. You work in audio? He asks, adjusting levels with newfound confidence. Metalworking, actually, but equipment is equipment. Most problems come down to interference or loose connections. I hand him a cable he dropped. My dad always said the best way to understand how something works is to fix it when it breaks. Jake grins. Your dad sounds like a smart guy. He was. The words carry more weight than I intended, but Jake just nods with the understanding of someone who's lost people too. Listen, he says, lowering his voice as wedding staff bustle around us. I heard the coordinator mention some family stuff earlier. If you need help with anything technical during the toasts, like connecting a phone to display something, I'm your guy. Family should stick together, you know. Sometimes the best way to get what you need is to help someone else get what they need first. Dad's lesson, proven right again when I need it most. Thanks, Jake, I might take you up on that. At 1 p.m., as the reception dinner begins and servers weave between tables carrying plates that cost more than my weekly grocery budget, I make my move toward the AV station. The controlled chaos of high-end catering provides perfect cover, and Jake is exactly where I expected him to be, frantically adjusting sound levels while sweat beads on his forehead. The wireless microphone squeals with feedback, making several guests wince and cover their ears. Jake's face flushes red as he scrambles to find the source of the interference. Need a hand? I approach with the easy confidence of someone who's spent years fixing equipment that breaks at the worst possible moments. He looks up like I'm a lifeline. This feedback is going to ruin the toasts. Something's interfering with the wireless frequency, but I can't isolate the source. I study the setup with genuine interest. Years of maintaining metalworking equipment have taught me to diagnose problems quickly, and this one's straightforward. Check the catering staff's headsets. They're probably on the same wireless channel as your mic system. 10 minutes later, the feedback is gone, the sound is crystal clear, and Jake is looking at me like I've performed actual magic. You work in audio? He asks, making final adjustments to the mixing board. Metalworking, actually, but equipment is equipment. Most problems come down to interference or power issues. I hand him a cable that had worked loose during his troubleshooting. My dad always said the best way to understand how something works is to fix it when it breaks. Jake grins, visibly relaxed now that his technical crisis is solved. Your dad sounds like he was a smart guy. He was. The words carry more weight than I intended, but Jake just nods with the understanding of someone who's lost people too. Listen, he says, lowering his voice as wedding staff bustle around us. I heard the coordinator mention some family tension earlier. If you need help with anything during the toasts, like connecting a phone to display photos or whatever, I've got you covered. Sometimes family needs to hear the truth, you know. Sometimes the best way to get what you need is to help someone else get what they need first. Dad's lesson, proven right again exactly when I need it most. Thanks, Jake, I might take you up on that. By 1:45 p.m., dessert is being served and the energy in the room shifts toward anticipation. Crystal glasses catch the afternoon light streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows, and conversations quiet as Jake tests the microphone one final time. The sound is perfect now, every word will carry clearly to every corner of the opulent reception hall. I position myself near the head table, close enough to reach the microphone stand but far enough away to avoid suspicion. My mother sits beside the Whitfield patriarch, her face glowing with satisfaction as she surveys the perfect reception she's orchestrated with my stolen money. She catches my eye and smiles, probably thinking I've finally accepted my role as the grateful brother who sacrificed everything for family. She has no idea what's coming. The best man finishes his speech to polite applause, and the maid of honor delivers a tearful toast about friendship and forever love. Each word feels like countdown to Judgment Day. My phone is ready in my jacket pocket, connected to Jake's system through a cable he discreetly provided. The evidence is queued up and waiting. As the maid of honor sits down, I stand and walk toward the microphone with calm determination. My mother's eyebrows rise slightly, but she's not concerned, probably assuming I'll deliver some harmless brotherly sentiment about Nino's happiness. I pull out my phone with the eviction notice photo ready on the screen, and my mother's face goes pale as she recognizes what she's seeing. She half rises from her chair. "Don't be dramatic, it's her day," she calls out, her voice carrying across the reception hall. But it's too late, I'm already at the microphone, Jake's finger poised over the controls to display my evidence on every screen in the venue. "Ladies and gentlemen," I begin, my voice carrying clearly through the sound system Jake and I perfected. "I'd like to make a special toast to family sacrifices. The moment of reckoning has arrived. Before we celebrate new beginnings," I continue, my voice steady as granite, "I think it's important to acknowledge the sacrifices that made this beautiful day possible." I pull out my phone with deliberate slowness, and Jake's fingers move across his control board. The venue's large display screens flicker to life, showing exactly what I've prepared for this moment. The first image appears, a photograph of the eviction notice taped to Gelashvili Metalworks' front door, the sheriff's department seal clearly visible in the morning sunlight. A murmur runs through the crowd. My mother's champagne glass trembles in her hand, champagne sloshing dangerously close to the rim. Her face has gone pale, but she's trapped, surrounded by 200 guests, cameras recording, nowhere to run. "Every beautiful detail you see tonight," I continue, gesturing at the crystal chandeliers and towering floral arrangements, "represents a family sacrifice, though not everyone was asked if they wanted to make it." The second slide appears, my business bank statement showing a balance of $847.23 and a devastating series of withdrawals. Each transaction is clearly labeled: Whitfield Estate Venue, $15,000, Prestige Catering Services, $12,000, European Floral Designs, $8,500. Gasps echo through the reception hall. The Whitfield family exchanges horrified glances, suddenly realizing they're not just witnessing family drama, they're watching evidence of financial theft unfold in real time. My mother half rises from her chair, her mouth opening to speak, but I continue before she can form words. "These withdrawals were made from my business account without my knowledge or consent, using partnership papers I signed 5 years ago to honor my late father's memory." My voice carries perfectly through Jake's sound system, reaching every corner of the stunned reception hall. Every flower, every crystal glass, every moment of tonight's perfection was purchased with money stolen from the business my father built with his own hands. The third slide appears, and this one breaks my mother completely. Bank records showing the systematic draining of accounts over 3 months, each withdrawal timed to wedding vendor payments. The evidence is undeniable, mathematical, brutal in its clarity. "But the wedding expenses were just the beginning," I continue, my voice gaining strength as months of suppressed rage find perfect expression. "The real goal was always bigger than one perfect day." Slide 4: Email exchanges between my mother and the Whitfield family lawyers discussing partnership restructuring and intellectual property consolidation. Her own words, preserved in digital amber, reveal the scope of her betrayal. The Whitfield patriarch's face has turned ashen. He's not just witnessing theft, he's seeing evidence that his family was being used as unwitting accomplices in a scheme to steal my patent rights. My mother finally finds her voice. "Levan, stop this immediately, you're ruining." "I'm ruining what exactly?" I interrupt, my voice cutting through her protest like a blade. "Your plan to steal my life's work, your scheme to trade my future for social acceptance." The fifth slide appears, the text message that David intercepted, my mother's words to the equipment auction house displayed in brutal clarity. "Your father's tools will do more good paying for Nino's happiness than gathering dust in your little shop." The reaction is immediate and visceral. Several guests gasp audibly. Nino's hand flies to her mouth in horror. Even the catering staff have stopped moving, frozen by the cruelty of those words. "And here's what my mother really thinks of the family she claims to protect," I announce, pulling up the final, devastating slide. The text conversation with my ex-girlfriend appears on screen, including my mother's response. "Levan has always been too stupid to understand real family values. Some people are meant to build things, others are meant to dream bigger. I'm teaching him the difference." The silence that follows is deafening. 200 people stare at evidence of betrayal so complete, so calculated, that it defies comprehension. My mother sits frozen, her face a mask of shock and growing horror as she realizes the scope of her exposure. "But here's the thing about family sacrifices," I continue, my voice now carrying the weight of absolute victory. "They only work when everyone agrees to make them." I pull up the final document on my phone, the one David prepared yesterday and I signed this morning in my truck. As of this morning, I've dissolved our family business partnership and revoked all access to my accounts, my patent, and my father's legacy. The legal document appears on screen, official and irreversible. I've also signed an exclusive licensing deal with Peterson Industries for $2.3 million over 5 years. Margaret Peterson, still standing near the bar, raises her glass in a small salute. The Whitfield family stares at her in recognition. Peterson Industries is their biggest competitor, and I've just handed them a major victory. My mother's face crumbles as the full scope of her defeat becomes clear. Not only has she lost access to my money and patent, but she's publicly humiliated herself in front of the very people she was trying to impress. The Whitfield family, I continue, looking directly at their patriarch, should know that any business arrangements discussed with my mother are null and void. She has no authority over my work, my patent, or my future. Any contracts signed under the assumption of family partnership are fraudulent. The Whitfield patriarch nods grimly, his lawyers probably already calculating how to distance themselves from this disaster. Their family name is now associated with theft and fraud, broadcast to 200 witnesses and countless social media followers. To new beginnings, I raise my champagne glass, my voice carrying clearly through the perfect sound system, and to partnerships built on honesty rather than theft. The toast hangs in the air, unanswered. No one raises their glass. The silence stretches like a held breath, broken only by the sound of my mother's quiet sobbing. Justice served at the perfect temperature. In the aftermath of my toast, as stunned guests whisper among themselves and the Whitfield family huddles in damage control mode, Nino appears beside me. Her wedding dress rustles as she moves, but her face is no longer glowing with bridal joy. Instead, she looks stricken, processing the scope of betrayal that's just been revealed. "Levan," she whispers, her voice barely audible above the murmur of shocked conversations. "I had no idea. I thought. Mom said you insisted on paying for everything because you wanted my day to be perfect." The pain in her voice cuts deeper than any of my mother's cruelties. This is the cost of justice, my sister's innocence, her perfect day, her trust in the family that raised us both. "I know you didn't know," I tell her quietly. "That's why I waited until now. I couldn't destroy your wedding day, but I couldn't let her destroy my life either." Nino looks across the reception hall at our mother, who sits alone now at the head table. The Whitfield family has physically distanced themselves, their chairs pushed back as if theft might be contagious. Wedding guests avoid eye contact, their phones undoubtedly buzzing with messages about the scandal they've just witnessed. "She used me," Nino says, the realization hitting her like a physical blow. my wedding, my happiness, she used it all as a weapon against you. I watch my sister process the truth, seeing our mother clearly for perhaps the first time in her life. The woman who raised us, who cried over Dad's memory, who claimed every action was motivated by love, revealed as someone willing to destroy her son's future for the illusion of social acceptance. I can't, Nino starts, then stops, her hands shaking as she reaches for the diamond bracelet the Whitfields gave her as a wedding gift. I can't keep this. I can't keep any of it, knowing what it cost you. She removes the bracelet with deliberate movements, setting it on the head table beside her untouched dessert. The gesture is small but profound, a choice between the wealth she's married into and the brother who's been destroyed to pay for it. I'd rather have a brother with integrity than a marriage built on lies, she says, loud enough for nearby guests to hear. By 2:30 p.m., police have arrived to take statements about the financial fraud, and the reception has effectively ended. Guests filter toward the exits in small groups, their conversations hushed but intense. Social media is undoubtedly exploding with videos and photos of the most spectacular wedding disaster in recent memory. I find Nino in the bridal suite, still in her wedding dress but no longer looking like a fairy tale princess. She's sitting on the velvet settee, staring at her hands, processing the wreckage of what should have been the happiest day of her life. Come with me, I tell her, extending my hand. Where? Away from here, away from all of this. I gesture at the opulent room, the expensive decorations, the monument to stolen money that surrounds us. I want to show you something real. She takes my hand without hesitation, and we walk together through the venue that no longer feels like a celebration. My truck sits in the parking lot between abandoned luxury cars, dented and honest among the pretense. As we drive away from the Whitfield estate, I pull Dad's welding torch from behind the driver's seat, the one piece of his legacy I managed to save before my mother could sell it. The metal is worn smooth by decades of use, but it still carries the weight of honest work and real dreams. Where did you get that? Nino asks, touching the torch with reverent fingers. Took it from the shop yesterday before the seizure order goes into effect Monday. I turn onto the highway leading back toward town, toward the industrial district where real work happens. But it doesn't matter. The Peterson deal gives me enough capital to buy new equipment, lease a bigger space, hire the workers Dad always dreamed of employing. Through the windshield, I can see the future clearly for the first time in months. A new shop built with honest money and clean contracts. Equipment purchased with my own earnings, not stolen from family accounts. Workers who will learn the trade Dad mastered, carrying his techniques forward into the next generation. Dad always said the best steel comes from the hottest fire, I tell Nino as we drive toward the sunset, leaving the wreckage of my mother's schemes behind us. His torch is going to build something even better this time. The wedding day that began with my destruction ends with my liberation. Justice served, family bonds tested and proven true, and a future built on the foundation of integrity rather than theft. Sometimes the perfect revenge is simply telling the truth at exactly the right moment, to exactly the right people, in exactly the right way. The best steel comes from the hottest fire, and I've just been forged into something unbreakable.
Levan, thank you for bravely sharing your story. It shows that timing the truth perfectly can transform betrayal into unbreakable strength, just like forging steel in the hottest fire. Was exposing your mother at the wedding justified? Share your thoughts in the comments, and if this resonated, like and subscribe for more tales of resilience. I'm Eliza Quinn, and remember, here on Wedding Day Justice, veils off, justice on.